2 and 1. Okay, we are live. Hi, Heather.
Hello.
Thank you for joining me today.
I'm excited to be here.
You know, I'm really excited you're here too. You're one of my favorite people in the world. I'm just going to go over to our group really quick and edit this so people can join us. So we'll just give it a minute for people to join, and then we'll get started.
Awesome.
Okay, here we go. You know, I didn't do the right clicky. Let me get the right. I think it's this. Copy.
Hi, Andrea.
Hey, Andy, how are you? Let's see. Let me just make sure I did this right. Yep, okay. Here we go. Alrighty. So right now I just put in the, on the video, you'll see, you guys can actually join us today. So this could be really interactive. Right now it's just Heather and me. But if anybody out here, if you really like this and you have stuff that you want to share with the group beyond just leaving us a comment, you can actually jump in and we'll put you on screen with us. So this should be kind of fun. I know. I love this stuff. I love this technology. I think it's so rad. But I want to welcome everybody. We come, live here every week talking about different topics in spiritual development and really how to live a really great life. This past week, we've been talking about gratitude and giving back. And we first started in June. This is a brand new group, but we first started in June. We talked about manifestation with my friend Andrea. If you didn't get a chance to see the video, definitely go back in the video section and you can watch them all. It was really, really, really good. All about how to manifest your dreams. Then we worked with my friend Rebecca. We talked about emotion code and body code and how, we can have things stuck in our subconscious and in our body from past trauma, past emotions, and how those things start to get in our way and how then we release them. So that was an awesome video that Rebecca did with us. And then we went on and we talked with my friend Katie. We talked about joy. And it kind of all plays together, joy being our highest vibration that we can achieve when we can put that together with manifestation. That's how you attract everything that you want. And now we're on to gratitude and giving back. And for me, the fastest way I can get into joy is really through gratitude. But sometimes if you're in a really negative mind space, it's really tough to get into gratitude. And the quickest way, and I'm going to say I actually learned this from you, Heather, the quickest way that I could get into that gratitude space is by being in service for somebody else. Hi, Christina. Hi, Katie. Glad you guys are here. And I learned this from Heather. And this is why I invited her on to talk about this. I remember this was a couple of years ago. We've been friends for about 5 or 6 years. And a couple of years ago, we were on the telephone and she put me on hold, basically. She was like, hey, hold on a second. And then I hear her call out her window and she says, hey, excuse me. Hey, are you hungry? And then she gets back on the phone and I'm like, what are you doing? And she's like, well, I had to go downtown because she lives up in LA. She goes, I had to go downtown and I know there are hungry people downtown. And so I just made some extra sandwiches. And so, I kind of pass them out if people are hungry. And I was like blown away because I didn't know anybody that did stuff like that. And she would just always tell me these stories about how she incorporated, gratitude and giving back with her boys. And so when we had a little shift in our schedule, I was trying to think of what would be a good thing to talk about, this week. And gratitude seemed great. Giving back seemed like a really great way to incorporate that. And Heather was the first person that came to mind. So this is a little bit different because Heather doesn't have, a coaching business about gratitude or giving back, but embodies this for sure. So welcome. Thank you for jumping on. Oh, look at my friend Samantha. She said she's joining from Rancho. Hi, Sam. Thanks for jumping. Darcy's on. Oh, how sweet. She says, Heather, you look stunning. Can't wait to hear about what you're about to share. So super cool. So tell me, Heather, you're like my favorite person, so I'm glad you're here. Tell me, where did this all come from? Like, why is this like something that you put into practice?
You know, I really learned from two, you know, gratitude masters, my mom and my dad, and they're both very different. They had me, you know, kind of as a teenager. They were both teenagers when they had, and they've gone on to live two very different, but also very similar lives. And, you know, I had two things that stand out growing up. One of them was with my mom, and I'll talk about my dad first because my mom's going to make me cry. I haven't seen my mom in a while. She lives in Africa, and I'm going to see her in like 3 days. I'm so excited. So I'll talk about my dad first because that won't make me emotional. So my dad had this great teaching moment.
Sorry, Dad. You don't.
It's just not going to make me cry. So my dad had this great teaching moment with me when I was in college. I graduated from college 10 years after high school. So it was a journey, right? And, you know, 10 years of, you know, plugging away and working full time and going to school. I graduate. The day that I graduated, I was riding my bike back to my house. I lived in Athens, Georgia at the time. And a lady ran a red light and hit me on my bike, flew me off of my bike, and ran over my bike and pretty much destroyed it. But I was very sentimental about this bike. It was an old classic Raleigh Colt, and I wanted to get it fixed. She said that she would pay for me to get it fixed. And I believed her. She gave me her phone number. She gave me her work phone number. She's like, I'm going to pay for you to get your bike fixed. We didn't call the cops. I mean, she had run a red light and ran into me with her car. Didn't call the cops. Just trusted that she would, you know, pay me. Went and got the bike fixed. It was a few $100s. That was a lot of money for me at the time. And when it came time for her to pay me, she sent me a check for half. I'm just going to let that sink in. She hit me with her car. She sent me a check for half, and then that was it. Like, she went MIA. She wouldn't respond with me anymore. Like, she was just like, you pay half, I pay half was kind of her, you know, deal. And it made me really angry. Like, I was really furious because I could have called the cops. You know what I mean? It was just, I just felt like just stuck and really, really angry. And I was talking to my dad about it. And my dad said, stop what you're doing and write her a thank you note. And this was my response. I'm going to write her a thank you note in gasoline on her front lawn and light it on fire. Because I was like so stuck in anger, right? And so, you know, I really trust my dad. I really look up to him, and I listened to him, and I wrote the thank you note, and it like just transformed my life. It transformed my energy. It just transformed everything about that entire scenario. And I think about this all the time now, because there's so many times that I find myself stuck. And if I just, and my dad was like, she didn't have to pay you anything. But yeah, that was a big deal. Yeah, it stinks. But you got half, and just be grateful for what you have. And I literally think, you know, and that was, you know, 20 some years ago, that lesson has just come up over and over and over again and really transformed the way that I deal with difficult situations, which, you know, I'm human, and it happens to me a lot that I get, you know, stuck, and I get kind of this kind of stinky thing, and that just kind of, you know, pulls me out of it.
Totally. Well, that's really big of your dad. I don't know how I would have taken it. I think I would have been like, dude, you can go stuff your thank you note where you know where, because this lady like literally hit me with her freaking car. And so, yeah. So that's really big. I'm glad that was a really good lesson for you. Now, first, before we go on, can you share with everybody where you're at?
So I bought a boat. So I bought a sailboat. I don't know how to sail. I'm learning. It was a really big leap of faith and kind of like just came out of nowhere. It's really sunny, and I don't want to wear glasses, so my eyes are kind of like watering. I can't really see very well, but I'm sitting on the deck of my boat.
This is why I love you. So Heather now has the chance to like kind of live a couple days on a sailboat in the marina, which sounds awesome. Big adventure. So let me ask you, how do you teach gratitude to your kids?
Well, so now I can talk about my mom without crying. So my mom, you really have, in my experience, and I think this is true with anything with parenting, right? It's not what you say, it's what you do.
Right.
So growing up, every Christmas, we never did Christmas for ourselves. We always did Christmas for other families. We would adopt a family. We would provide them with the 12 days of Christmas. We would ding all kinds of crazy stuff that like is really difficult to ding dong to somebody. And we did it for years. And then we would also go to homeless shelters, and we would put on, you know, nativity pageants and just all kinds of stuff. And so it really was I think it is in my DNA. And I also think that I had two really great examples. And so for me, you know, that story that you shared about the sandwich and stuff, it's just, that's like normal. So it's like, you know, somebody else needs something, I can fill that gap. It's like, that's what we do. And so my kids, we actually live, before the boat, we lived in East LA and we commute to Santa Monica, which is about an hour and 20-minute commute every morning. And I was getting really stuck and frustrated about this commute, right? Because, you know, I hated it and it was a waste of time. And I mean, I had all this story around it. And then I realized that we have the opportunity by about 8 a.m. to interact with usually 10 to 20 people who are in need. And so we started to put together care baskets and, you know, socks and toothbrushes. We gave away your leather coat over the summer. You had given us, I don't know if you remember, a black leather coat. And you're small, so it took us a while to find somebody who was as small as you who needed it. But every morning, I just think of that time during the commute now as our way to really connect and give back. And so it's really just teaching by doing that. And I think that's how I learned, and I think that's how my kids are going to best learn.
Right. Can I tell you a story that I remember that really stands out to me about
Sure.
gratitude, giving back with your kids? So I remember one time we were talking, you're like, we had like just the emotions and, you know, my kids were like through the roof. It was like the witching hour. And I remember you said, you know, I needed to shift that energy in them. So you're like, so I found a guy that was selling oranges off the side of the road or something like that. I bought a pack of oranges and I made my kids give them out to people. And she's like, and you said after they were done giving away these oranges that their energy shifted. And I remember this is like one of those other stories. I'm like, wow, like I need to do this for my kids, because that is like, for me, the quickest. It's really hard to feel bad about your life or bad about your situation or be in a really bad mood when you're in service to somebody else. And I think that's like some really tangible stuff you can do for yourself, and you can also teach your kids. I try to teach my kids this stuff. Sometimes it doesn't work as well as your great stories. So remember when we had, when we just moved into a new home in February, remember we had a housewarming, we had a handful of people over, and I ended up with like a grip of food. I probably had food for like 30 people left over. And as like the week went on, I was like, I got to do something with this food. So I go, you know, I'm going to go find some homeless people. So what I do is I'm like, and I need, there's a ton of comments. Oh, I'm sorry, guys. I'm like lagging on the comments over here. Hold on. Before we go, I'll finish the story. Hey, Angela, I see you. Yes, thank you for sharing your story. Will this be available in the group? Yes, it will. Yes, it will. Hi, Sherry. Oh my gosh, I'm loving this conversation. So good. And I love you too, Katie. I love you too. All right. So I kind of lag on using the comments and stuff. So I'm really sorry, but we'll definitely go through them all. If you guys have any questions, put them up. If anybody wants to join us again, you can click on that link that's in the Facebook post. It actually puts you in this deal with us. So if anybody else wants to go, here we go. So anyway, so I'm like, you know, I have all this food and I need to get out. We're going to go give this to homeless people. This would be a really great lesson for my girls. Not really the baby, but I have a 5-year-old going on 6-year-old. So I package everybody up in the car and I literally pack like 30, like food for 30 people. It's like beans and rice and carne asada and chicken and tortillas and ribs, plates, knives, forks, spoons, like the whole shebang. And I throw in like 5 boxes of Girl Scout cookies on top of it. And like, I put it all in my car and I'm like, okay, we're going to go find some homeless people. And I'm like, you know what? There's a park. It's like, it's not too far. It's a couple miles away. You know, if I go to that park, I've seen homeless people there. So we drive over there. Sure enough, we get to the park and they're doing renovation. The whole park is closed off. I'm like, dang it. All right. I know where there's another park because, you know, homeless people, they kind of hang out in parks. We're going to go to this other park. So we drive and drive and drive and I'm driving around and the only homeless person, and I don't know if he's homeless, but there's a person that's sleeping in the grass. And I'm like, this probably isn't that safe, which we'll get to later. I'm not going to like get out of my car, go over, wake this guy up to see if he's hungry and my 2 kids in the car. So then I'm like,
wake him up.
Are you hungry? Because I have a mission. And
right.
So I'm like, okay, there's one more park I know of. And we're like a half hour into this expedition already. So we drive, we go to this other park, we're driving around the whole thing, and I'm like, And then out of the corner of my eye, I see a kid kind of, I don't know, he's probably in his 20s. He's crossing the parking lot, and I'm like, I'm going to go find. So we go to turn around, and I turn around in a parking lot. So my oldest thinks I'm parking and takes her seatbelt off. And so I keep driving and I look behind me and she has her seatbelt off. And so I'm like this, what are you doing? Put your seatbelt on. And so now our energy's here. She's crying. Oh my God, I'm sorry. I thought you were parking. Seatbelt on. So then we go back, we pull into this parking lot, and this homeless kid's looking at me like, what is this lady in a decent car doing, pulling into this parking lot, looking at me with two kids in the back?
He's stalking him.
Right. And then my energy is like up here, right? Because I just yelled at my kid. And so we park, and I get out of my car, and I like walk over to him, and my energy is like this. Hey, are you hungry? And he's like, I think so. And I'm like, oh my God, I'm so sorry. Like, listen, I have food. No, then I go, listen, I go, do you have friends? And he's like, yeah. And I go, can you find them? And he's like, right now? And I'm like, oh my God, I'm sorry. Let me start over. Listen, I have like a lot of food and I need to give it to somebody. And I'm like, I have food for like 30 people. So I hope that you have like 30 friends you can bring. And so I start unloading all of this stuff. And I'm like, here's this and this and this and this. And here's some Girl Scout cookies on top of it. And I remember he just looked at me like bewildered. And he's like, thank you. And I'm like, okay. And then like, we drive away. And I remember trying to like, you know, my daughter, she's 5. So she's like, why are we doing this? And I'm like, listen, Eden, it's very important that we take care of other people. You know, regardless of what she wants to accomplish in her life, I want to make sure she takes care of other people. So I'm like, it's really important that we take care of other people. We've been given a lot in life, so we need to give back to other people. You know, what you put out, you get back. I'm trying to teach her all these lessons. And I go, Eden, like we have a lot of stuff that most people will never have. Like we're very blessed in this life. Like you got a ton of, you got an iPad. Like what kid has like their own iPad, right? So I was like, you have so much stuff. And like almost like the wrong lesson gets taught because she goes, yeah, Mom, I have a lot of stuff. Almost bragging. I have more stuff than most people. And I'm like, this is not the lesson. This is not the lesson. Oh my gosh. So sometimes it goes really well. And sometimes like me, it does not go so well. But I think it's a good thing that we have to teach our kids. So that is kind of my.
I mean, that's just life though, right? I mean, life is, you know, when I know for things, when I come in with an agenda, it's like, you know, a lot of times that I'm going to run up to some universal resistance, right? Because at that point, I'm not in the flow, right? It's almost, you know, rowing upstream. And that's not when it becomes, you know, like a mission and like we have to do this and, you know, and you're just not in the flow. Now, can you drive around with, you know, food in your car for 4 days until you find the flow and naturally run upon, you know, a picnicking group of homeless people with no food? To me, this just kind of like, you know, to be really present to the people and the places that the universe is putting in front of me and bringing to me. Because many times it's when I'm not on an agenda, when I'm not looking, you know, to give something, many times it's then that the greatest opportunities are presented for me to make an impact. And it's not just making an impact in somebody else's life, it's making an impact in my life, right?
Oh my gosh.
So it's just very present to those ideas and not always going out with like today at 5, and again, this isn't any slam on you, but you know, today at 5:30, I'm going to schedule in my gratitude and my giving back time. No, it's being present to those opportunities times.
Yeah, because it becomes a testament to who you are. So I was thinking about this morning. So I posted in the group earlier this week, kind of what I've started to put into my life are just those easy things that I can do. So for me, it's like when I'm at Costco, I'll buy for like $1.50, I buy a whole nother thing of bananas. And so like when I leave, I'll just throw it in my car. And if I see somebody coming off the freeway that's, you know, homeless or might be where it's just like easy for me to grab, and like if the situation arises, then I can do it. So I love that. But I was thinking about expectation, and you know, sometimes I think what holds us back from giving to people is what we want to get out of it, but then also I hear this a lot is the expectation of like them having to use certain things for certain things. So watch, like money. Some people are like, I don't want to give them money because I don't know if they're going to go buy drugs with it, which I can get that. But I remember I listened to Tony Robbins one time, and this like shifted everything for me. He was telling this story about kind of that feeling. And he said, you know what? I switched from that feeling to then thinking about giving. And giving wasn't so much about the other person. It was about a testament to who I was. Mm-hmm. And I didn't care what they were going to use the money for. So, and you know, if I gave them $100 and they went out and they scored drugs with it, then that's what they did. That has nothing to do with me. My giving is who I am. And I remember going, oh man, Paige, now every time you're called to give and like you don't, that's the testament to you. It's not about the other person. It's what rises up in you that shows who you are. It just shifted everything for me. So I was so, this morning.
I
little glitchy.
I want to get glitchy.
Yeah, but you're good now.
Okay. Oh my God, I don't know what to do about that.
Happened live from a boat.
So I also just wanted to acknowledge the fact of what you're saying and when you're called to give, because there's a lot of need in the world, right? I'm about to go to Africa for 2 weeks and, you know, serve in a country that has 90% under an unemployment, and most people eat 3 times a week. 3 times a week, not 3 times a day. So there's an incredible amount of need in the world, whether it be, you know, locally or, you know, globally, however you want to look at it. So I just want to go back to that when you're called to give, because it's not my responsibility to give or to fix or to bridge the needs of everybody that crosses my path. There are some times, and I've had this happen before, where somebody's come up to me and asked me to give, or, you know, give them money, or, you know, help them with a bus ticket or whatever it is. And I just have to, they cross my path. Sometimes I just get this energy that I'm like, no, this one isn't mine. This one isn't mine. Namaste, go along your way. Shields up, right? We learned about that from your group a few weeks ago. Shields up to protect my energy. But it's not my responsibility, because the need is so great. The need is so great that then we are into that, you know, giving more, depleting our own energy, depleting our own resources. And, you know, it can kind of stumble into this, you know, self-care spiral where I'm not taking care of myself. I'm not taking care of my own family and my own needs, because I'm just responding to the needs of everybody else. So I just want to kind of put that like self-care manifesto out there.
Yeah, we got a ton of stuff. I'm like, we got a ton of stuff we can talk about. You just triggered so much stuff in me. Let's also talk about this, because I want to write this down so I don't forget. Remind me. Oh, I'll write it. I'm going to just write this down so I don't forget, because I definitely want to talk about it. So one of the other things I think that for me, and I think maybe people that are kind of like me, is that what sometimes holds us back from giving is this fear of like safety. So I'm a pretty small girl, right? I'm like 5 foot. I might be a little spunky, but I'm like 5 foot, bucko 5. So, and I see people, not so much me, but I see this get perpetrated onto me. So for instance, when I was driving around trying to like find homeless people, I posted it on Facebook, and sometimes I go back and forth with this. Ever have people say like, oh, if you need recognition, or if you need a post about what you're doing, da-da-da-da-da-da-da-da, it's not for some reason good, or it's, you know, self-fulfilling. This is my thought on that. Dude, post away that good stuff, because your actions can have a positive impact on the world. Somebody sees that, and then, you know, maybe they get inspired to do the same thing. So anyways, I posted about it on Facebook, and then I can kind of see through the comments. There's a handful of comments, and they're like, oh, Paige, be careful, because da-ga-da-ga-da-ga-da-ga-da. And true, not that all your work has to do with homeless, but when you're in that community, there is some element of risk, because, you know, sometimes there's mental illness and stuff like that. But I don't think the level of risk associated with that kind of thing is nearly as bad as much that it holds us back, if that makes any sense. I think we grossly overestimate risk involved and stuff like that. It's like our fear flares up and it holds us back from doing good in the world. And I just think to myself, God, how many times, because you were fearful, how many times did you not do what you were called to do? And like, it blows my mind. So I definitely wanted to put that out there. We got some cool comments. You want to go to them real quick? So
I mean, it can be fearful. Sorry, it can be fearful, and it can be a fear for physical harm, which I think that we do have to tap into that, not just when we're giving back, but just in life in general. But I think it's also this fear of being rejected or coming. I mean, I think you touched on the Facebook post, like, coming off the wrong way or something like that. And I have had somebody, or, I've shown up to volunteer at a women's shelter, or, we've done, a party in an orphanage, and it went horribly wrong. But
oh my God,
that's because
I had a homeless person throw the food back at me one time. And I was like, okay, well, that didn't go so well. It was like Thanksgiving. I felt so bad. I made my husband go inside of the grocery store and buy like a Thanksgiving dinner for this person. I remember he gave it to me and threw it back at us. And we got in the car, and remember my energy going, oh shit, that didn't really go as planned. And when I said, you know what, this is a testament to who we are. This is what we do. And sure enough, you drive away and you went over and picked up the food because he's hungry. But
right.
Yeah. But go on. Or you want to go?
No. Just that, I mean, I know there's sometimes that people try to give to me and I'm not gracious. And that's because I'm a person and I have ego and I have triggers. And, so it's like, I can think of many times and that my reaction was less than
gracious. Yeah.
Allowing that to be the filter for which I decide to live my life. And I think Tony Robbins is an excellent example, especially knowing that, he grew up hungry. For the two people in the world who haven't seen his amazing documentary, that he grew up hungry and then made is to, feed. And so I think when you scale it that way, and I think of him feeding, hundreds of thousands of people on Thanksgiving, it's not so much about, what their reaction is in that moment. It's more the global good that it's doing.
Mm-hmm. And you're getting a little glitchy on me.
And I think when things,
oh shoot, you're getting a little glitchy. Let's wait for a second for you to get back. And I think what also happens is when you give, and Tony Robbins talked about this, is when you give, you create that space then to attract more. So it's like, all right, I want more of this in my life. I'm going to give of it first. I create that space to create this vacuum. So some of it is, a little self-fulfilling. But it's good in the grand scheme. So my friend Angela, dude, I love this girl. She's like, agreed, social media can be positive and helpful with some things, and many times can be taken so wrongly as well. Yes, I run into that a lot with my nonprofit. So Angela has a really cool nonprofit. If you guys feel like you want to give back in this way, I don't know if I got little kids, and we get stuffed animals that like breed. I don't know what happens. But I clean out stuffed animals all the time, and I actually donate them to my friend Angela. She's from caringcases.com. I'll put it up here. And what she does is she has a nonprofit that gives to kids that go into foster care. So these kids show up, and they don't have anything, and their stuff's in trash bags. And so part of the thing is they put stuffed animals in with their care bags. .org. Sorry about that. So let me hide it and let me put it back up. Caringcases.org. She's doing some good stuff in the world. And so I think it's good to highlight her. But we'll do stuffed animal drives and send her a bunch of stuffed animals for her nonprofit. You know what I also want to talk about? Because this happens too. So we're going to get into you going to Africa. So you can talk kind of about, go ahead and share with people, like, how come you're going to Africa and all that. And then I want to talk about something in a second. And I think you're good.
Okay. Okay, cool. So I'm going to Africa. I'm a team leader for an organization called that my mom founded. Motherswithoutborders.org is the website. And my mom founded this organization, I think, like 30 years ago, after watching a 60 Minutes show about the orphan crisis and feeling like, what can I do to impact this huge situation? And so since then, she's incorporated, she's served in Africa, India, Haiti. I worked with her in Mexico. I worked with her in Romania. And so we take groups of volunteers over. We're going to take 25 people over. We're leaving on Monday. And we do a nonprofit organizations.
Oh, you're getting so glitchy.
And we go over.
Hopefully we don't get glitchy.
We go over.
Go.
Okay, cool. So we go over and do the stuff that people aren't generally paid to do. So love on kids, provide meals, just all the things that generally parents do, because all of these kids are orphans. All the things that parents do that nobody pays you to do. We go over and do that.
Right. No, I love what your mom's got going on over there. And what I wanted to, it's in Zambia. Angela said, what part of Africa? What part of Africa? It's over in Zambia. One thing that I wanted to kind of bring up, I don't know, I've heard this because Heather's a good friend of mine. So it's close to her heart, close to my heart. And, when we give, that's a place that I like to give. And I remember every once in a while I hear this from people because it's in Africa. They'll say things like, oh, well, there's a lot of need here. You don't have to go to Africa. You could donate here. And I think to myself, you know what? The people that say stuff like that typically aren't doing stuff here. They're not doing anything. They just want to call out that, because my feeling is that if you give and that's part of who you are, you just applaud people that do that in whatever shape or form they want to do it, because our response to the world is what happens internally. That sometimes I hear that, so I just kind of wanted to put that out there. So, do you have any other comments? Yeah,
and I definitely hear that as well, and I'm just so grateful that there's so many different areas for people to be connected to, and that is. Am I being called to put my attention here? Am I being called to put my resources here? And really being aware of that. For me, I think animal welfare is amazing. I have many, many friends that devote their lives to animal welfare. That is not my calling. And so I'm grateful for them, but my response to them isn't, well, yeah, there's hungry dogs, but what about hungry children? Your life and your passion is, and that you're taking the time and the energy and the motivation to respond to that calling. I'm so grateful for that in you. And I know that those people respect that I also have a calling, and that, I'm taking my time and my energy to respond to that. I also wanted to just touch on the fact, we talked about some big things, right? We talked about, feeding homeless people, 20 people every day by 8 a.m. And, this big forgiveness of somebody, hitting you with your car, and, you got to come work in Africa. And the wonderful thing about gratitude is that it can create a shift in a moment. And so, one of the things that I do with my kids is we do a 5-finger, we call it ratitude, because my sister Katie calls it that, but it's a 5-finger ratitude. In the morning before you put your feet on the floor, you just quickly go over 5 things that you're grateful for. And then at night, we gather together as a family, we have a gratitude journal, and we write down 5 things that we're grateful for that day. And not only does it begin and end our days in such a high vibration and in such a wonderful way, but it's also really fun to look back at the gratitude journal and see the things that we were grateful for, 3 months ago, 6 months ago, things that we had forgotten about. Oh yeah, at the park, and somebody came by and played guitar for us. And it's like, that's a memory that had long since faded, but by having it noted there, it comes back to us. So gratitude doesn't have to be, and giving back doesn't have to be these huge, elaborate deals. It can be just a simple acknowledgement and tuning into that.
Right. A daily practice. No, I'm with you. I think the daily practice is more important than the big stuff.
Yeah.
But I was also going to ask you, is it when you're not ask you, but tell you or talk about it, when you're talking about gratitude journal, I'm sure you could go back, months, years ago, and then you can look at, oh my God, the things I was grateful for then, and where your life has shifted, and you kind of get it. Sometimes, I remind myself of this when I get in a negative mind space, is that, some people wish they're wishing they had your life, and it makes me go, okay, let's shift that. My friend Lauren taught me this, because I hate folding laundry, but I was telling her I gotta figure out how to wrap my gratitude around folding laundry. And she said, she has a friend. I don't remember if the kids were grown and older, or God forbid a child had passed away, but that the friend had said something about they just wish they could fold their kids' laundry one more time. I know, right? And I was like, okay, I hear you. So my friend when she's on, she says, I love that idea. Not my idea, but yours, your 5-finger gratitude. The 5-finger gratitude, I think, is awesome. My boys and I say
Gratitude.
Right? I love it. Say that we are grateful, what we're grateful every night, but I love the morning practice so good. Samantha's like, good idea. I definitely need to start doing something like that.
That Oprah Winfrey, who I love.
Oh my gosh, she's like my soulmate.
She's
Oprah's
incredible.
like
We have to go to Super Soul Sessions together next year when it comes. And anybody else from the group who wants to go to Super Soul Sessions, I know that Andy was there. We didn't get a chance to connect in person. I know that Lauren was there. We didn't get a chance to connect in person, but we have to actually go like as a tribe this time and actually sit by each other and experience because it's great. But one of the things that I read about her is that she's been keeping a gratitude journal every day for 10 years. And so I also just want to give a shout out to that consistency, right? Those, like you mentioned, the practices, the daily practice and that consistent. And how would my life shift if every day for 10 years? Because I'll be honest, I'm not 100% on either my 5-finger gratitude or my gratitude journal. It happens more times than not.
I'm not 100% on anything in life.
Yeah, no, not even brushing my teeth. I'll be real. So, but how much different would it be if, I could develop that practice to the point that every day for 10 years, and then, like, look where Oprah's at. So anything she does, I'm like, okay, I'm in.
My friend Angela's like, can we all hang out? Yes, girlfriend. Yes. We need more awesome people to gather together in this world. I think we did a really good job. I mean, we're like 40 some odd minutes into this, and this is just something that we could talk about forever. It's not like we have no coaching business around this. This is just
I know, right? I want to tell you about another exercise that we do in Africa, and just invite you guys to use this in your families or in your friend circles when you get together in gatherings. It's really, really powerful. So one of the things that we do when we are in Africa to set the space is we do a gratitude circle. So what that is we just, and if more people wanted to jump on the video, we could totally do it. Or you guys could do it in the comments, but doing it like actually live and hearing other people in the room, you can literally feel the vibration of the room and the energy rise. So what we do is just in starts, and you just go around in a circle over and over and over again, and you just say something that you're grateful for. And for music, nothing is too big and nothing is too small. I'm super grateful for my ginger turmeric tea. It makes me so happy every morning. So it doesn't have to be something grand. And you just go around and around and around until you feel the energy in the room shift. And so, we could do that in the comments if people just wanted to start typing in things that they're grateful for, and just really tune into what a dynamic force gratitude is. And again, I invite you next time you're with your family and, or you've got a friend group, just try it out. I mean, go around the circle 5 or 6 times and really then take a moment.
I don't know if it's Esther Hicks. I don't know. It might be, but it was somebody talking about the, first thing when you wake up in the morning. I have like phones going off all over. When you wake up in the morning, going on like a gratitude rampage, and it's like how. And there's like a certain amount of seconds. It's like if you get in 21 seconds, you can shift. And once you get to like 90 seconds, you have now created a whole different trajectory. But you have shifted everything. So I think it's 20 minutes, 17 seconds. Thank you. 17. I don't know how this stuff works. But 17 seconds. Thank you, Lauren. Another thing I'm grateful for. I'm grateful for this. My husband is listening as well, and he's saying everything he's grateful for right now, not even realizing it. I love it. Such a good way to make a good impact. So I will mention this here. If you guys really love this stuff and you have other friends that you think could really vibe out to this, do me a favor, add them to the group. This is how we make a bigger impact on the world, is getting stuff like this out to more people. We're going to be taking... on a bunch of different subjects. Let me just respond to this person, because my phone will keep on going off. Coming up in July. She's from the Mermaid Movement. I love the name. So she's going to come on. She did a whole thing on like meditation, and she's got some really cool stuff going on. in her world that she's going to jump on and share with us. Then let's see, my friend Anna's jumping on. She runs a group called The Spiritual Grind, which will be pretty interesting to hear from her. Then who else we got coming on? We have my friend Vanessa. She's going to jump on and talk about Reiki. And I'm excited to learn about Reiki. I don't know what it is. We'll probably do a live session like this so you guys can all see what Reiki is all about. And then we're going to go and talk about crystals with my friend Jen. And I'm excited about that because I got a bunch of rocks and I don't know what to do with them. They just kind of sit here. They're pretty. So she's going to kind of talk about, you know, crystals and the moon and all that kind of woo-woo stuff. So it should be a really good July. And we're going to give away a book. So this weekend, I'm going to go through all the comments throughout the week. Anybody that really interacted and talked about gratitude or watched our video and commented and liked and all that kind of crazy stuff. We're going to put everybody in a drawing. We're going to give away a copy of Danielle LaPorte's book, White Hot Truth. So go ahead and comment away. Go ahead and add your friends. Let's see. Oh yeah, Lauren sent this to me. She said, FYI, Tony Robbins also has a great emotional flood. It's about 5 minutes of feeling gratitude. Google Emotion Flood Tony Robbins, Oprah. The first time I listened to this, I cried. So that's always a really good signal, is if you get enough gratitude and joy, you actually start crying. Emotion too. So I cry just about anything. So that's what you'll learn about me. Sherry's right. Sherry says her husband's off social media because all the negativity. It can be, you know, but it's also, you know, you can choose how things function in your life. So use it for good, use it for bad. So we're using our social media for tons and tons and tons and tons and tons of good. Yeah, so if there's not any questions or any more comments in the live feed, we'll leave it open for another couple minutes. I don't know. Heather, is there anything else you want to talk about?
Yeah, I wanted to just kind of touch on, because I'm a mom, you know, and I've got little kids, and I also have a business, and sometimes, you know, either stuff with the kids or stuff with the business, which I'm sure once I look at my phone again, I'm going to find, you know, stuff has been going on, some of which is not going to make me very happy. And I'm going to choose to be irritated about it. And so I just want to reiterate, you know, what a powerful transition tool that gratitude is. And, you know, I find that when I am, you know, triggered by something, when I find myself in kind of those lower resonating energies, anger, frustration, guilt, like why is one of those words that just like, that gratitude is really, you know, the way out of that. And it can be so simple. I think sometimes I tend to overcomplicate things, but really just, you know, getting into that gratitude, whether or not be, you know, writing or just, you know, going over things that I'm grateful for in my mind, shouting them out. But it is impossible to sit with gratitude, and I guess it's 17 seconds. It's impossible to sit with gratitude for any length of time and stay in that pit. So if you want to get out of the pit, when I want to get out of the pit, gratitude is definitely the ladder. It's the way out. And I haven't found anything that works as fast or as reliably.
Yeah, it's usually how it goes is something will happen, and I need to wallow for a second. Like, I'm not quite ready to sit, right? But eventually you got to get to the place where you're like, okay, I'm ready to choose again. Right. Sometimes I got to go through the like, okay, let me get this emotion out, because I got to feel that like I'm justified in my feeling. And then I'm like, okay,
yeah,
this really doesn't feel well. Let's change it. And then I can use the gratitude and use my tools.
So I want people to know that, you know, that this is a really real conversation. This is a very real practice. And a spiritual bypass is like when, you know, something happens, something upsets me, makes me angry. And then I just immediately go into gratitude, and I don't allow myself any time to process the fact that maybe my boundary was crossed, right? Maybe something did really hurt me or make me sad or upset. It's important that I acknowledge that, and I'm with that, rather than just going straight into gratitude, right? Because that's a spiritual bypass, and that's the kind of stuff that will create, I think, a lot of blockages and a lot of emotional baggage. So it is a process. It's a journey. It's allowing that time to acknowledge what's happened, to sit with it for a minute, but then realize when but I don't want to build my house there, right? I don't want to lay my foundation there. Yeah, that's where I'm at right now. But when I'm ready to move out of it, now I've got my tools to go out of it. But in my life, I do have to sit there and acknowledge it for a minute, especially if it's something that has to do with that.
Right. I remember somebody saying, is that the hill you want to die on? I think what it was mostly about like being right, you know, and like,
Yeah.
oh, you can either be right or you can be happy, and kind of like that whole thing. And then it kind of plays really well here. It's like, is that the hill I want to die on? Okay.
And for everybody, it's going to be different, you know, but that's not the hill you want to die on. But if that's the hill you find yourself on in that moment, it's okay to acknowledge.
Right.
And then it's like, okay, now I want to be over there. And when you want to get over there, that's when you initiate gratitude and you'll be there.
Right. And guess who's home? Ah, my baby's home. Let's see if she comes over here. You guys can see her. I don't know. We'll see. So we're going to round out our hour with, ooh, I got food brought to me too. So that's pretty cool. We're going to run our hour with gratitude. I want to thank everybody for jumping on with us. I'm super, super grateful that you guys joined us. I really appreciate it. This has been, you know, a project that's been weighing on my heart for a while. It's nice to see it kind of all come to fruition. And I couldn't have done this without the really great help of awesome people around me, all you guys in the groups, and all our wonderful speakers. With that, I'm going to go. Anything else? No.
I just want to say thankful to you. I'm so grateful for this group, and I'm grateful that you invited me to be a part of it. And I was just thinking, I'm so grateful that you heard your soul's calling and took action and made it happen. So I'm grateful for you, and I'm grateful for this group. Thank you.
You're welcome. Thanks for coming on. Let's do a party on your boat soon. Party on the boat. All right, guys, have a great weekend, and then we'll be back next week with Kristen from the Mermaid Movement. Bye. And